All right, boom, I got it. And we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of Lunch on Debates. I'm your fellow co-host Dibo, and my other co-host Matt.
Pleasure to be back. And might I say, pleasure to be back in person.
In person for sure. That's the main factor, man. This lovely new setting we have going on. This is the start of a new era for this podcast
Oh,
moving forward,
100%.
for sure.
100%. I do want to say, I know that we talked about like the chemistry and not interrupting each other and all the technical difficulties as one of the perks of being in person. I got to say, seeing the fits is another reason I love being in person. I'm fucking with the Michelangelo.
Michelangelo, I got this fit from Marshalls the other day, man.
Shout out
Cool
Marshalls.
little shout out to Marshalls for sure. Cool little shopping run, man. They got some of my most worn shirts recently from that store. So salute to them. Cheap, just a little cheap shirt right here, man. I like the design of it.
I do
I'm
too.
I'm rocking with the graphic tees right now, so yeah, man. That's why I'm rolling with this one.
I do too. I wanted to shed some light on it. I thought you were looking drippy today.
Yeah, appreciate it,
Um,
appreciate it. And I like the fit you rocking too as well. Got the little calm casual fit, man.
trying to be like him.
Trying to be like word. I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate that. We looking nice today though. We looking nice today.
Yeah.
Glad y'all can see our beautiful faces right now. So
Um,
that's what matters.
but how you been? How's school been? School just started back up for us.
Yeah, semester's been starting up for spring. Last week was still a little bit weak, so I'm expecting a lot of the workload to increase in the upcoming weeks.
Hmm.
But shoot, this semester has been, well, it will be the same as all of the other semesters. Just lock in, get the work done, and get these grades.
100%. I will say, freshman year for me, I felt like second semester was definitely easier than first semester. So far, I know we're only a week and a half into the school year, but I think second semester's been a bit easier this year for me than first semester as well.
Mm.
Have you noticed a trend like that or no?
I've noticed that because with first semester you have to really like get
Revamp.
into a full like back into your routine,
Hmm.
especially after three months off, over 3 months off with the summer break.
Hmm.
So with this second semester, you're already locked in, you already got your routine in, and it's a little bit easier down the road with these classes.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. Plus second semester you get like to look forward or something. Like first semester, the kind of end goal is like winter break, but that's a month off, and then you're right back at school. Whereas second semester, you really are looking to 3 months of leisure time.
Hmm.
Um,
For sure, for sure.
but with that being said, let's get into the episode.
Yeah, let's get into the episode for sure. We have a stacked day ahead for us. Matt, do you want to say what we got for the audience?
Yeah, so starting off, we're going to talk about the trade that literally happened this morning, uh, January 23rd. Miami Heat, Charlotte Hornets. We'll get into it. From there, we will kind of do, I don't know what you want to call it, a pressure index, a pressure cooker for teams and players within the NBA, in terms of what teams have the most pressure, what players have the most pressure. And then
Hmm.
we will be ending it with a recap of NFL Divisional Round and predictions for the championship games.
Thank God this week's NFL games were way more entertaining than the wild card ones because
They were.
Mike, dude, that wild card weekend was horrible.
It
That was
was.
like one good game out of like six.
It was. And I'm gonna put it like this. I'm excited for these predictions because I think we usually, especially when we have two people, there's maybe not as much discourse. I think we might have two different answers for both the games.
I know who I got for the AFC title game. I'll just
There you go. I know
leave it
who
at
I
that.
got. I can tell you
I'll,
that
I'll
that
leave it. I'll
statistic
leave it at
agreement for
that
sure.
for sure. So stay tuned. Stay tuned.
But let's jump in. You said you got the trade deals on your screen.
I sure do. Let me read these out real quick. Of course, the source from Woj, our great friend. Um,
Nah, Shams broke it first. Swear,
all he did,
swear. That's the one I sent to a group chat before, and I got the ESPN noti.
my mistake, my mistake. But let me get into this. So the Miami Heat are acquiring Charlotte Hornets guard Terry Rozier for guard Kyle Lowry and a protected 2027 first round pick.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I feel like this year we're seeing quite a bit of win-win trades.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people brought up the Knicks with the OG trade as a win-win trade, and to me, I see this as a win-win trade. Just in like the Hornets, I got to here. Let me actually read the report because while I was walking here today after I parked, I got a report that said, "Oh, I cleared it." It said the Hornets are not done making trades. They're going to continue looking for these future assets.
Mm-hmm.
So one, I think to get another 2027 unprotected first, I believe, from the Heat. Um, and then you get 22 million. You get Kyle Lowry's 22 million, which is an expiring contract. So you open up that space. Whether you want to bring in some vets into the locker room that desperately needs it.
They need to keep Lowry in my opinion. They really
Oh,
need
for sure,
Lowry.
for sure. I
They
agree.
need Lowry in there for sure, man.
I agree.
Because like, what's the biggest issue with this Hornets roster right now?
They got no vets. They got no leadership or guidance.
No vets, no leadership, a very immature roster, and we see the talent with this team. Obviously, with LaMelo, Mark Williams when he's been healthy,
Brandon
Brandon
Miller
Miller.
shown
Brandon
flashes.
Miller is a dog.
Yeah,
What a great rookie year he's been having.
for sure.
But the biggest weakness is that they have no leaders. They have no leadership within their locker room right now. And Steve Clifford, I honestly thought he would be that guy
Mm-mm.
to bring a little bit of leadership and veteran presence into that locker room, but it hasn't really worked out.
Nah, see, I don't know if you've remembered. I was always on the Steve Clifford out train,
Mhm.
and I don't think Steve Clifford's necessarily a poor coach, especially when you look at his time in Orlando.
No, no.
I just think for what this team needs, I think one, they need a younger coach, one who kind of understands what this team is supposed to be, like a run and gun, space and pace team, not like a grit and grind team, which is Steve Clifford's system.
Mhm.
And so I think if you can get a younger coach who can kind of grow with them, we saw what Jamal Mosley did with Orlando. We saw what Mark Daigneault's done with Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City.
And so if they can bring in a young coach that can grow and develop with them, I think that puts them on the right course. And then having vets, but I also think vets that can play, right? Because we've seen this team bring in, we'll make a big offseason signing of Gordon Hayward. He plays 30 games of the season. But if you bring in a vet like Kyle Lowry, who can be your backup point guard and show LaMelo how to be impactful on defense, even if that's not the best part of your game.
Yeah, and efficiently run an offense. Be more careful with the ball
hmm
as well.
hmm Especially in the late game stretches. I mean, Kyle Lowry is an NBA champion. He has pedigree. He knows what those big moments take. Whereas this team, I mean, outside of Gordon Hayward, and they just traded Terry Rozier, does anybody on this team have playoff experience?
I gotta look down this list.
LaMelo doesn't. LaMelo has a play-in game. That doesn't
Dang.
count.
Um,
Nick Richards, Mark Williams don't. PJ Washington doesn't.
Ish Smith.
Ish Smith is an NBA champion.
NBA champion Ish Smith. Come on
Ish
now.
Smith
Come
is
on
an
now.
NBA champion.
Frank Ntilikina.
I don't know if that is the
He played in the playoffs. I'm looking down this
he
roster
did,
right
but
now.
I don't know if that's the playoff experience you want, considering
Right.
he was guarding Trae Young that series at MSG,
Oh,
and that didn't turn out too well.
That's fair. That's fair. I just wanted to say his name.
Um,
When we were talking about playoff experience with this team.
No, I know.
So yeah, it's like you said, it's very limited with this roster
Yeah.
right now.
So I think
Very inexperienced.
I think having those guys who have been notorious winners, who have been in those big positions, to kind of give guidance, kind of mentor the young talent that they do have, because as you said, they have the right young players, whether it is a LaMelo Ball, a Mark Williams, a Brandon Miller, but they need to be shown the ropes. Otherwise, they end up like the guys in Houston did before Ime and Dylan Brooks was there.
For sure.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the Heat though?
Yeah. And then actually, I want to hear your thoughts for the Heat.
Yeah, it's a great move for them. I
Mhm.
mean, Kyle Lowry, while he's one of my favorite players of all time, I love the dude. With this Heat team, he didn't really fit. Whether it's offensively, his offensive ceiling has taken a huge decline since that trade, and really last year as well. Even when they were on that finals run, and defensively, he's a complete negative. With that team, I think he's one of the worst defenders in the league statistically. I don't have the stats, but statistically,
Mhm.
he is one of the worst defenders in that regard for guards. And so, with you bringing a guy like Rozier in,
Mhm.
Terry Rozier, he's had a great year. While with him, the biggest issues have been his efficiency, and with him being such a high usage guy.
Yeah.
But with this Heat roster, you bring in a guy like Terry Rozier in, you substitute him you substitute Kyle Lowry for a guy like Terry Rozier.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's a positive regardless of what happens moving forward.
And then again, like I mentioned, and you mentioned, we both like this trade for the Heat. Um, I think that Terry Rozier, he already came out and said that, like, if I go to the Heat, I understand I'm going to be the third or fourth option. Like, he's already accepting of that role.
Right.
But this Heat team, we've seen them for the past 2-3 years now make deep runs to the playoffs, in the playoffs, excuse me. And they just don't have enough. They just don't have enough. We've seen 2 years in a row now where Tyler Hero hasn't been able to finish the playoffs. Obviously, he had the broken wrist last year, and then he missed the Boston series the year before. But like, so you bring in a guy like Terry Rozier to kind of ensure that scoring role just in case Tyler Hero does go down. And now if Tyler Hero doesn't go down, you have another scorer so that it's not all like Jimmy really has to put us on a backpack and stuff.
Yeah, and that was the main goal, was to bring more shot creation and more scoring pressure, outside of Jimmy. Because with this Heat team, we've seen it before when Jimmy doesn't go Superman, he doesn't put the cape on. We saw it with the finals.
Yeah,
The Heat, they were actually really good defensively against that Nuggets team.
they were.
The biggest issue was that, one, obviously Jokic was having a generational final series, and two, outside of Jimmy, there was no real scorers to put pressure on the Nuggets defense, especially inside the paint.
The Heat put up 100 points or over 100 points in one game that series.
Yeah.
Out of 5. Think about that. The offense was not there. So to bring in a guy who's known for being a scorer, like this is Terry Rozier. If he's a sixth man, he's a professional scorer, being a sixth man. And he fits well. I think that the Heat have a ton of players that can kind of make up for his defensive liabilities. And I also don't think he's that bad of a defender as is.
No,
especially if you could get his Boston side that he used to have.
Compared to Kyle Lowry, I feel at this point Rozier is a better defender than Lowry.
So I do want to ask you, because in the NBA, starting lineup is starting lineup, right? Like a lot of teams have a starting lineup that they don't close with, but the closing lineup is your most important lineup. What do you think the new Heat closing lineup is?
Jeez, man. Jimmy and Bam are obviously there, of course, so we'll knock those two out the way. I'm worried about the backcourt with Rozier and Hero. Defensively, a lot of teams could exploit that and make Bam and Jimmy both have to guard the entirety of the whole floor in the half court offense. But I feel like at this point, Rozier and Tyler Hero would be in the closing games.
Yeah.
If you want to go defensive, maybe put Josh Richardson at the 2 and Tyler at the 1. And so what we have right now is I have Terry at the 1, Hero at the 2, Butler at the 3, and then at the 4.
Ooh, Butler at the 3. I think Butler might have to go to the 4.
With his age and potential legs,
He played the 4 last year, and during their playoff run.
I understand that, but especially when they're facing bigger teams like a Boston,
true. It is matchup
in a
dependent.
playoff series. Yeah, it's very matchup depending. Like a Boston, like a Milwaukee, I think he go to the 3, and the 4. I would like to see Howard Highsmith more in that role as a defensive guy, but I think it would be Caleb Martin being the 4, and then Love at the 5. If they want to go big, then you probably would put Love at the 4, and then Bam at the 5, just to maintain that.
I think Haywood Highsmith is an interesting one, just because with Rozier and a Hero backcourt, you do have a ton of offense. Plus, you have Jimmy and Bam, and so maybe you're okay if Haywood Highsmith is on the court, because while his offense may be iffy, like the defense is legit. For me, I think I agree with the backcourt. I agree with Bimmy and Jim.
Jimmy and Bam.
Thank you, Jimmy and Bam.
Word.
I think it's hard because Hawkes is a rookie, so you don't know if he'll earn that trust by then to be in those big playoff games.
I think he will earn that trust.
Yeah, especially
really
in a
do.
Heat culture.
Yeah,
for sure.
And he's been having a great rookie year so far as well. You saw the Christmas game, right?
Yeah, no, he's definitely all rookie first team for me.
Yeah. He's been having a phenomenal rookie year.
Yeah, probably top 3, honestly.
And with Jaime Jaquez, I want to add one more thing. he's been in those moments before in the postseason, like dating back to his time at UCLA.
for sure.
Remember when they made the deep runs, that Final Four run as well during the COVID year?
When they lost to Gonzaga. Yeah.
Exactly. So he's been in these big game moments, and he has shown that he can be a proven player to step up when the occasion becomes higher stakes.
Right. But I also do see a guy like Caleb Martin who proved that exact same thing last year, especially against the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. Also to my Knicks in the quarterfinals. But I really think it's between those two guys. I actually do like the Haywood Highsmith shout. I think that was pretty creative. It's not like a what would you call it? A popular pick, but
No,
I think it's
I
an
mean,
underrated pick.
I am a Hayward Highsmith believer, and I feel like with his ability to shoot the ball, which I believe he's shooting 36% from three this year.
Yeah, he's much improved this
Yeah,
year.
he's much improved as a catch and shoot 3-point shooter. And with this offense right now, adding in Rozier with Hero and Jimmy and Bam, all he has to do is hit his open shots when available and play great defensively.
Yeah, I'm still shocked that Huck has dropped all the way to what was it, 24 or
It
26?
was a late first rounder.
Yeah, because like I understood that he was a 4-year player or maybe 3 years at UCLA.
Yeah, no, he's 4 years.
He was
Yeah,
4 years, but he's still like only 22. He still has plenty of room to grow, and you're already seeing that he's an impactful player.
With what we've been seeing in the NBA most recently, these front offices, they're going for ceiling.
They are.
Even with the teams that are in contention, they would rather go for the ceiling and the potential with the floor.
See, we can get into this. This is a whole different conversation, and we could get into it as we get closer to the draft. Either draft, honestly. I think the first 1 through 10 should be for that ceiling pick, but I think maybe if you're like 11 through 14 and you're like a good starter away, like maybe the Atlanta Hawks, if they were in this case, Jaime Jaquez would be perfect for them.
Yeah, that's true.
but-
And especially when you're talking about the late first round at like post lottery
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Like 17, 18, which the Heat they got Hawkins at 18. After that, you go straight floor. You get a straight contributor
Yeah, highest
that
floor.
that can produce for you day one.
Exactly, especially like you mentioned for the teams that are in contention, because it's like you really are just like maybe 1 or 2 pieces away. So maybe having a high floor could be like the thing that gets you past the LA Clippers in a series or the Phoenix Suns in a series.
And I know exactly the team who needed a guy like Jaime Jaquez or even a guy like Brandon Podamensky or Cam Whitmore even.
Hold on. West or East?
West.
West. Interesting. The Phoenix Suns.
Nah.
Oh.
They picked right before the Heat in that
Right
draft.
before the Heat. So it was a good team. So is it the LA Lakers?
It sure is the LA Lakers. They passed up on Podamensky,
Yeah.
Jaquez Jr., and Cam Whitmore.
For Jalen Hood-Schifino.
Yes, with Jalen Hood-Schifino, he's still very young. Who knows if he can become a reliable NBA player down the line?
Yeah.
But he has looked really bad to start off the year.
I will say the Lakers might be the only team that get a pass because they make so many trades that you might just want to get a higher ceiling player. But then again, it's like, why? Like, if that's the way they're looking at it, you should just be looking at, can I get a young guy who can contribute right away? Which I think is better.
Fair enough. Last question before we move on.
Yeah.
So with this Miami Heat team, with Terry Rozier, can they still be able to make a deep run this postseason?
Absolutely. Now, are they my favorites? No.
No.
I think if I'm ranking favorites, it's probably Boston Celtics. And then it honestly might be the Miami Heat.
You put Miami over in Milwaukee in Philly?
I think Philly's better. I think Philly would be more of a challenge for the Heat than the Bucks. Even though the Heat notoriously own the Sixers and the Celtics. I mean, yeah. This Milwaukee Bucks team, I think that if you want to beat the Heat, you have to do it with defense, right? Because they're always going to like out defense you, right? In a sense. And when you look at this Milwaukee Bucks team, the defense has not been there all year.
No, it's one of the worst defensive units
Right.
in the league. Yeah.
Right. So I think at the minimum, especially with a guy like Terry Rozier, who can create his own shot, with Tyler Hero, and you're putting that alongside Bam and Jimmy. Like Tyler Hero wasn't even there last year, and they were able to do this. Plus, you add a young guy like Jaime Jaquez. And so I think that they'll be able to get some points that he might even score more than they did in the regular season.
Mhm.
But the defense will still be there for the Heat, and that's why I would probably pick them over the Bucks. Celtics wise, I think the spacing is just. I think that is the reason that they got Porzingis to affect Bam. Like I know they run the zone and they're the only NBA team that can run an effective zone,
Mhm.
but shooters break a zone, and the Celtics have some amazing shooters right now.
Amazing
aside from
spacing.
maybe Drew Holiday.
Yeah, Drew Holiday.
He's probably the worst starting shooter, and that's saying something.
By
though.
far,
But that's saying
by
something.
far. But Drew Holiday being our fifth best shooter,
Yeah,
3-point shooter on that team,
yeah,
that's a great sign.
exactly.
And with Porzingis right now, I feel like that's gonna be the X factor if he were to play on Miami Heat in a
Mhm.
playoff series.
Mhm.
He's gonna be the difference, whether offensively, pressuring the inside of the rim, forcing Bam outside the paint,
Mhm.
which can allow Tatum, Brown, Derek White to get easy looks inside.
Yeah.
And defensively, him being one of the best rim protectors in the entire league as well,
Mhm.
and going up against a Miami Heat team who has struggled getting easy buckets inside the paint
Mhm.
with minus Jimmy and even Bam too. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be the difference maker.
No, yeah. Porzingis has been great this year. I don't know if he'll get an All-Star just because of the games played. He's started to miss quite a bit of games, but
Yeah.
he's definitely in that conversation, which is a plus for the Celtics. But back to the question, probably the Heat are probably my second or third best team.
Okay.
I'm in the East.
What about Cleveland? Do you put Cleveland
Cleveland's
above
very
the
scary.
Heat?
They're almost better without Garland and Mobley.
I mean, okay, first of all, shout out JB Bickerstaff for the
Yeah,
job he's been
yeah,
doing. Low key is sleeper pick for coach of the year. Having
yeah.
Garland out for an extended period of time. P.S. Garland, please come back. My fantasy team needs you right now. We got to make this deep title push. But that being out the way, Mitchell has missed games. Mobley has missed games as well. And they're still very competitive. They're on an 8-game winning streak, currently fourth in the Eastern
Mhm,
Conference.
mhm.
And if all of their guys are healthy come playoff time, Mitchell, Garland, Mobley, and Jared Allen,
Mhm.
they could make some noise.
The Struce was a great addition, even if they did overpay him a little bit. He's
Mhm.
been a great addition.
Fantastic addition.
Sam
'Cause
Morrell,
right.
I don't know how, but like these old NBA players are coming back into the league and thriving. Like Sam Morrell, Dante Exum, Chris Dunn, your guy.
Chris Dunn, bro,
Like
my boy. Bro, I told you that he was going to be nice coming into the
he's been
season.
like all defense
Come
this season.
on. Bro, Chris Dunn's my guy, man. Let's go.
But like those guys, you would have thought maybe two or 3 years ago are just completely out of the league, and those dudes are making giant impacts at this moment.
Yeah, but talking about that Cavs team, George Niang's been stepping up nicely. Sam Morrell, Craig Porter Jr. When he's
Yeah,
been able
how did he
to
go undrafted?
being that right exactly when he's been able to step into that relief role with Garland being out, he's been a very good backup point guard, especially with the absence of Ricky Rubio.
See, now I'm gonna spoil something. When we do talk about teams that have the most pressure in to win a championship this year, I didn't have the Cavs in my top 5. They probably were my 6 or 7, and it's because look, last year, if you wanted to say talent wise, I thought that they were better than the Knicks, right? But
Yes,
whether you want to call it experience or fit,
they just got bitched
yes,
all series
right,
long by the Knicks.
right,
It is what it is.
and they were very disappointing first round exits.
Yes.
And you look at how they're playing right now. You said 8-game win streak. I think they've won like 12 of their last 14 or 11 out of their last 14. To do that without your 2 top guys, and then if they come back and you have another disappointing first round exit, I think there's a ton of narratives that get pushed, and I think there's a ton of stories that come out.
And it's unfortunate because with this Cavs team right now, the only media coverage they have been getting is Donovan Mitchell trade rumors.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. No one's talking about how good this Cavs team has been without some of their key players, which is very sad.
Yeah. Hey, and shout out Jared Allen. I know lights might be too bright in the playoffs, but he's been a double-double machine on this win streak.
Man, hey, one more thing. It's I don't know with Cleveland sports teams not getting any media love in the mainstream, whether it's the Cavs or the Browns, they haven't been really talking about either of those teams accept what Deshaun Watson's contract or Donovan Mitchell trade rumors. But you look at these teams and what a great job both Stefanski and JB Bickerstaff have done with the talent on those teams. Bro, we gotta give more love to these Cleveland sports teams, man.
Aren't the Cleveland Guardians good? Their baseball team too.
I'm a big MLB guy, but they're in playoff contention almost every year,
Yeah.
so they're a solid team. But hey, man, the mainstream media is not gonna give Cleveland sports teams any love, but I will. I'm going to. I got y'all.
Lunchroom
Come on
debates.
now.
That's real media.
You heard it from here. Real media. New media. New media.
What's
Shout
up?
out Draymond. Shout out Draymond, man. Come on.
Hey, they are back tomorrow.
Spring training?
No. The Warriors. They had 2 games postponed
Oh, okay.
after Dejan. I'm not even gonna say the last name. I won't mess up.
Milojevic.
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 Passed away. Which
Yeah.
tragic to see something like that because he had a huge impact on the game.
Yeah. I really do not know how this Warriors team can like go on without their main
One
main
of the
guy.
top assistants. I think he was the second top assistant. It was Kenny Atkinson, and I believe it was him.
Because just think about it, you really witnessed one of your great friends, one of your great coworkers, tragically pass away during a team dinner when with team dinners, obviously everyone's having a good time, everybody's bonding, and for that tragedy to happen in that moment, it's just insane.
I will say we have seen some instances, not on the top of the head, but we have seen some where like a team just needs a spark, and maybe like they play this year for Dejan, right? Because maybe this team, everybody was so involved with getting their own, with putting up their own points, and they kind of lost the Warriors' way of you do it to win. Like at the end of the day, it's all about the dub nation, get the W. And so maybe with the passing like this, maybe it reignites like that fire in the Warriors, and maybe it's like I don't want to say blessing in disguise, but like,
No. We're
no.
not saying that
But
at
like,
all. No.
No, I promise. That's not the way I'm trying to elaborate it. But like, maybe that's the catalyst, and they play the year for him.
Yeah, just a moment of coming together
Exactly.
and playing for our fallen guy, our fallen comrade, during these moments.
Right.
Yeah.
But let's get into the main NBA segment for this episode then, which is our ladder of top 5 teams and players that have the most pressure on them to win a championship. Do you want to start at 1? Because I feel like we might have the same one.
Nah, can we start at 5?
Start at 5. All right, go ahead. You start at 5.
Okay, my 5th team is the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Okay. Explain.
With the Timberwolves right now, obviously they're leading the Western Conference. They're first. Last night, Cat went crazy despite them losing the game.
Right.
Chris Finch, their head coach, he benched him in the post game. He inadvertently said that Cat was stat padding during the game to get more buckets, which I don't know about that decision as a head coach. But at the same time, the Timberwolves, they're still leading the Western Conference. They have the best defense in the entire league. Rudy Gobert, he's most likely going to win Depoy again, which y'all got to put some more respect on my boy Gobert. The whole league got to put more respect on Rudy Gobert as an all-time great, the all-time defending great. So I'll leave it at that. But let me continue.
You just want to see it in the playoffs.
It's going to happen in the playoffs.
The defense is legit this year, though. Their offense is a bit sketchy. But I'll let you finish.
No, it is very sketchy. But yeah, with the Timberwolves, top seed team in the Western Conference, best defense. All the guys are gelling together. There's no locker room issues. Cat and Gobert are leading this team to wins every night.
Yeah.
And so right now, with how we see the Western Conference, it's wide open. There's no clear favorite.
Well, the Nuggets.
They've been really shaky at certain points, and their bench is still a huge question mark.
They do. The bench has a ton of question marks outside of like Reggie and Christian Braun. Everybody there is going to be getting playoff minutes for the first time. Unless you want to count
Christian Braun hasn't even been the best.
The same.
He hasn't been the same from their postseason run. Shout out Payne Watson and Julian Strother. They've been solid this year,
Hmm.
for their experience. But let me continue with the Wolves. Right, like I said, best team in the West,
Hmm.
elite defense,
Hmm.
no locker room issues. This is the perfect time for them to get a deep run. And with how this team's currently structured, the third highest cap space, limited flexibility to move players moving forward, kind of an aging roster
Hmm.
with guys like Mike Conley
Who's been great this
having,
year.
yeah, he's been solid. Very, very great point guard to have alongside the big three of Ant, Cat, and Gobert,
Hmm.
being that low usage playmaking guard at the point. This is the perfect year for this Timberwolves team to make a deep run, a Western Conference Finals type run. Perfect team in a perfect year.
I mean, you sold me. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like Timberwolves didn't make my list. They were probably 6 or 7, with the Cavs. But like, I mean, that's a great point because I don't know. They have so many players that have to like prove it. Like, how many times has Cat not showed up in the playoffs? How many
A
times has
lot.
Rudy not showed up in the playoffs? Mike
Ah,
Conley's this dude who's always Mike Conley and Rudy Gobert are these dudes who have always been notorious regular season winners, but haven't been able to get over the hump in the playoffs. You have Chris Finch, who like he's probably coaching for his job right now, depending on what goes on in the playoffs. And then it's like you say they're the 1 seed now, but just 2-3 months ago we were talking about should you split up, should you trade Cat to split him and Gobert up, which I do think we got to give some credit to Cat and how well he's been able to adopt to that 4 position this year.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, he's been great this year.
he's been great, but yeah, I think that's a very good argument. At my 5, I had the Phoenix Suns. They've actually looked pretty good when the big three has played. They're finally getting healthy now. But I feel like they're just an impatient organization, right? Matt Ishbia, he bought the team. He's the owner, and like the first month or two that he's there, he trades for Kevin Durant, trades to Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and 4 first-round picks. And I think the way they went out last year was kind of a disaster, or not a disaster, but like it was really just Book and Beal and nobody else, or I mean Book and KD and nobody else. Um, and this year, if the same thing happens, I can't help but think that the roster is going to have to change because they have to look at what's happening, see that the big three, like having 4 max players and then just getting like kind of some minimums around them, is not reliable or not applicable in today's NBA. And I think that that's a reality that they'll have to confront if they have an early playoff exit.
Okay, so you're talking about a change being put in place down the line.
Hmm.
But at the same time, they're one of the most expensive rosters in the entire league. Where's the flexibility with this team?
That's what I'm saying. It's like you have your 3 max guys, all making over 40 million. Beal's on the most expensive contract in the league.
Nurkic is getting money
I
as
was gonna
well.
say Nurkic is getting 20, and then that's basically it. All the
Yeah,
other guys, you brought in Aaron Gordon or Eric Gordon on a minimum, Yuta Watanabe on a minimum.
base D up on a minimum.
Yeah, Keita Bates Diop on a minimum. Justice Winslow's on a minimum. Chemezi Metu's on a minimum. Drew Eubanks isn't on a minimum, but he's like making like 4 million a year. And then I don't know I think Grayson Allen is making like 10, but
Yeah, he's making 9 million a
no,
year.
no, but with what he's providing, that's fine. Like if he's 50, 40, 90, he's been like their third or fourth best player this year. But like I just think that whether it's trading Beal, I don't know what type of value Beal will have if they have an early playoff exit with that contract. I don't think KD will go. As a Knicks fan, I'm keeping one eye on Booker. If they have an early playoff exit, I would love Booker.
I don't think D-Book leaving Phoenix. I think he loves it there too much.
See, he loves. Yeah, I don't know though. Like he wants to win though. He wants to
Mhm.
win. I don't think like you can always trade KD, but I don't think you're getting the same value that you got for KD before.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, which is why you might try to go get, or you might try to sell Book, or you might try to sell Beal, and instead of having these like 3 stars, you try to just get better role players and better pieces around them.
Not no. If that were to happen, if they were able to trade one of the 3 guys,
It'd
Booker
be
would be the
Beal.
last option. It'd have to be Beal.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't know. It probably would be Booker as the last guy to go, unfortunately. But
Mhm.
oh my gosh, him and Brunson in the backcourt would be to die for.
Yeah, that's never happening, bro. Hey,
Clip
every
it, clip it
time
if it happens. Clip it if it happens.
I know for a fact, the camera's on me. I know for a fact that's not happening, and we've seen all of the rumors before about this Knicks team. Whether it was
KD, Kyrie.
KD, Kyrie, Donovan Mitchell, Damian Lillard.
No, nobody wanted them. You were putting us in the damn sweepstakes. Nobody wanted him.
Well, Joel Embiid down the line. I don't see Joel Embiid being a Knick soon. It's just
We'll get to the 76ers and Joel in this conversation.
we're going to for sure. It's never happening. It's not gonna happen. Let's be completely honest with the Knicks. And I don't care what you or any Knicks fan on social media, X, Instagram, TikTok has to say about that. It won't happen.
Hey, but maybe it's a good thing that it's not happening, right? Like, we traded for Melo. We saw where that took the franchise into poverty.
Y'all didn't even put enough help around Melo to begin with.
That's true. That's very true. I'd agree with that.
Raymond Felton being your starting point guard for that long.
He did have a DPOY center. He did have a DPOY.
Okay, Tyson Chandler was nice. He was very nice.
He did have a young JR and a Mon Shumpert. But they were like young.
Bro, Shump before the ACL tear was special.
Bro, what is it called? Square box? Boxer?
The box fade.
Box fade?
Yeah.
Was elite.
The box fade was elite.
He was but
he looked like a Subway Surfers character with that cut on, but you know he was his athleticism, his dunks, bro, they were crazy.
But
that windmill dunk he had versus Indiana in the playoffs was insane. It was insane.
But
sure.
but think about like recent history, right? Zion to the Knicks, right? We get the third pick. We don't get who we want. KD, Kyrie, we don't get who we want. We end up with like Julius Randle and Marcus Morris that offseason. Donovan Mitchell, like you said, we just kept everything. Joel Embiid, even though like that was they knew they were gonna trade Harden, not Joel. We didn't get any of them, and look where we are now. Maybe that's what, like the Knicks are a respectable organization for basically the very few times of my life, and like as opposed to when we were a respectable organization, that was at the end. We're actually just starting to be a respectable organization. But what were we talking about?
We were talking about the Suns.
The Suns, correct. But yeah, so I had Suns at 5. Who was your 4?
I have the Phoenix Suns at 4, and you kind of hit the nail on the head with your reasoning. Aging core, KD's 35, Beal's 30, Nurkic is 25. He's gonna turn 30 next season. With this Suns team and the move they've made to get KD and Bradley Beal in the offseason, every year from here on out, win now season by 4 with this core and KD, Book, and Beal being your 3 main guys moving forward.
It's a championship or bust.
It's a championship or bust season.
Yeah.
Every year you have those 3 guys, and especially when you have KD and Booker for the draft capital you gave up and the assets you gave up to get KD in the first place to Phoenix.
Right. No, and I just think that they have to win because especially last year, the whole excuse was, oh, this is the gelling period. Next year will be championship or bust. Well, it's next year. It has to be championship or bust.
It has to be.
Especially with how, like you're saying, like a wide open West. Because the Thunder are going to continue to get better. They're only going to continue to become more experienced in the league. Like, if anything, the biggest concern to the Thunder right now is their age and their playoff experience.
Yeah.
Next year, that it's going to be a different story because they'll have some playoff experience. My 4 was the Los Angeles Clippers. You could argue it's early. I actually kind of like what my list is looking like. But Harden, that's like beating a dead horse. We know about all the Harden discussion and in the playoffs, but we've also been saying, like, is this the last year for the Clippers? Is this the last year for the Clippers? Paul George wants to say it was a win-win, the Clippers-Thunder trade, even though, let's be honest, with what the Thunder have turned the picks into, being it was Shea, who they got as a player. J-Dub turned into a pick. And then I believe it was Cason Wallace as the other pick. That might be wrong, but I know J-Dub for sure. Like, those 2 are arguably, or those two are better than what Paul George has been for the Clippers, and younger. And so you have that. You have the new stadium coming. I know Kawhi signed an extension, but Paul George still has an extension, and he's been a lot better in the playoffs. But he always has the playoff P thing over his head. And it's like this is the best the Clippers have ever looked, in my opinion. This is the most complete they've looked. I know Zubac is out, but he'll be back in plenty of time. And he and James Harden have looked great. Kawhi's playing the best ball since he's played since the championship run with the Raptors, and Paul George is looking good. Ty Lue's been phenomenal. Like, all the pieces are clicking. It has to be this year for the Clippers.
Yeah, it has to be for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Which they're one of my, I don't know if you can call them a dark horse, but I do like them quite a bit in the West.
I think you could put them in the dark horse contender tier.
Yeah.
Like, what makes you think not?
I mean, because, like, the top four in the West is kind of like, if you look at the standings, like, the top four in the West kind of has an advantage over, like, a notable advantage over spots like 5 through, what is it, maybe 10 or 11. And that's the Timberwolves, the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Clippers. Out of those, like, if we're ranking, you asked me, like, where I have the Heat in terms of teams in the East. Like, the Clippers are probably my second team in the West behind the Nuggets. And it's, one, they do have the playoff experience. They have the guys. They have the talent. They have the defense. They have the coaching. And they finally have the chemistry. They're playing together. They've committed to that ball. They took a break from load management, and they've been well rewarded. And so I really like the Clippers this year.
Shoot. Yeah, I agree with you for sure. And I want to say one thing. We just got breaking news. Tristan Thompson has been suspended by the NBA for 25 games
Drug?
due to drug and substance abuse.
I can't believe Tristan Thompson. He was back with the Cavs.
Yeah, he was back with the Cavs, and I'm sorry, but why would you take? Why do you need it?
I don't know. Yeah, he's getting like 10, maybe 5 to 10 minutes a game. But what was I just about to say? What if that's the reason why the Cavs have been playing so well? They've been on this big winning streak.
No, we're not gonna put that in the air. We're not gonna put that in the air. All I know is that Tristan Thompson, if you did take those, the substances on purpose, bro, you are too damn big for that. You are way too damn big to take substances like that, like banned substances.
He also
from
don't
the
need
league.
to. Like, what are they expecting out of him? Like, if he gives you the same minutes that DeAndre Jordan's giving you with the Nuggets, like, they're happy with that. It's not like he has like a high expectation. The dude was just in an ESPN like suit in booth.
He was on the Clutch Sports payroll.
He was for real.
No,
For real. LeBron didn't get that man paid.
That it was a joke, but he, like, every time he was on ESPN for NBA Countdown, NBA Today, all he did was gas up LeBron and the Lakers.
Yeah,
that was what he was there for.
yeah.
Pretty much. I don't know. That confuses me. That boggles my mind, man. There's no reason.
No reason.
There's no reason.
No reason. But let's move on to number 3. Who is your 3?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the team Tristan Thompson played for last year, and that's the
Ooh.
LA Lakers.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Interesting. See, for me, championship pressure wise, I didn't think that I could have the Lakers because I genuinely, I understand they have 2 top 10 players. I don't see this team as a championship team.
No, but at the same time, there's 2 reasons
Mm-hmm.
why I have them this high.
Uh-huh.
LeBron James, Anthony Davis.
By the way, we can talk about this if you want. We don't have to. But for those of you at home, in our group chat, we always talk basketball. We always talk sports like any group chat. But this man, Dibo, filled out an NBA All-Star starter. Starters, and just All-Star roster.
Roster. I'm probably going to make a reel out of that
But
in the
we should,
near future.
We should maybe do that because we should just do an episode on that.
Low key, yeah.
Low key.
Let's go.
But he had Anthony Davis and LeBron starting. I gotta ask you, does winning not matter anymore?
Does winning not matter? Well, for the All-Star game, the criteria mainly has been winning, especially for being a starter.
Right.
And I thought really for the team, well, for LeBron and AD right now,
Mm-hmm.
I put AD in there off the reason that
No, AD for sure. I'd
he's
have
a
AD over
depoy
LeBron.
candidate. Hey, boy, you'll never put LeBron out of the starters.
No, I'm like if I'm doing based off this year,
Mm-hmm.
because fan voting always is gonna have LeBron as a captain until he retires.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have Steph and I wouldn't have LeBron, and
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't feel right. But I think that's what you have to do this year. Because you're talking about two top 10 players that have dominated and been guaranteed starters over the last 10 years. And now they're not starters. I think KD has to be a starter with the Suns and with what, especially, he's making a very convincing argument lately. Back to back 40 pieces in a game winner over Patrick Williams last night. I mean, you could argue Kawhi too. You could argue Kawhi too with all the Clippers. I think AD should start though. Depoy defense, and I think he's been their best player.
What for Lakers?
Yeah,
To be honest, I don't mind that take. I do
I
not
think
mind that
Danny would
take as
agree.
well. I think he for sure would agree,
Yeah,
and hopefully we can have him in this lovely studio
facts,
in the coming future.
facts.
Because I know he's around here in these
Facts.
parts at this time. But that's for
Continue
another
talking
day.
about the Lakers.
That's for another day. Right. With their timeline, LeBron and AD, automatically it's a win now every year. I don't care that the Lakers are in the playing tier right now.
Mm-hmm.
That team's a win now team every year with those two players.
Uh-huh.
And with the team, the offseason, they tricked us. We all thought they were the off-season champs.
Oh yeah,
They got Gabe Vincent,
Torian Prince, Christian Wood,
Cam Reddish,
Cam Reddish,
re-signed Vando and Austin Reeves
and Hachimura.
and Rui. And really, from that entire list of players that we just mentioned, only really Austin Reeves has
Yeah.
been a contributor.
Yeah. Well, Rui I think is out right now, right? Doesn't Rui got injury, and then Vando just came back from one. Lakers, of course, you can say with their timeline. I do want to talk about something else with the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
And this season specifically, we've kind of noticed a new trend in the league, right? We saw the Clippers trade for James Harden super early in the season, like November. We're talking right at the beginning of the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
We saw the Knicks trade for OG in January, right? We're seeing these teams make moves now, and they've been rewarded, right? The Clippers, they started 0-5, and now they've been like the best team over the last 20 game stretch. I think they've been like 18-2, or that might be a stretch, but like they've been really good. They've been like one of the best teams in the league since that losing streak. The Knicks, right? The Knicks, obviously, they got off to that. They got the Josh Hart boost last year where he came in and won 7 games, and the Knicks are 8-2 with OG Anunoby. And you're seeing like these teams work out their kinks. Like OG was just setting screens the first game, like whenever he got confused. And the Clippers, they started with that losing streak, but they had so much time to recalibrate and work together that like they were able to change their season and change the course of the season and build that chemistry. The Lakers, you're in all these trade rumors. Every single day I'm seeing a new trade rumor. Tyus Jones. It was Terry Rozier, Zach LaVine, Bruce Brown, like just an endless amount of players. And you're still waiting to make that trade. The roster is clearly not good enough. We can agree.
No,
But why are you waiting to make the trade? Like with LeBron especially, we saw last year, they just didn't have enough chemistry. They were 18-2, and in the biggest moment, they were still starting new lineups together. Like, I think if you bring in the right pieces right now, you have that extra time to build that chemistry. LeBron can figure out dudes' tendencies and make them look like the best coming of Jordan or the next coming of Jordan. Like, I just think that they've been kind of like asleep, and they need to be proactive, especially as they're fighting for a 10 seed.
Right, they do need to be very proactive, especially with the trade deadline coming up. D'Lo, I don't see this man being with the team past February.
won't.
Neither Rui. Austin Reeves might leave this team soon in the trade. They're saying, well, I think he should leave the team.
Really?
If there's a
Really?
trade, if there's the right trade being put in place.
Would you do? I saw this on Instagram the other day. It was DeJounte Murray and Bogdan Bogdanovic for Reeves, Reeves, Vando, maybe. I can't remember if it was Vando. It was Reeves, Russell, and like a third piece. I think it was Vando. Or maybe Hachimura. Would you do it?
I don't like DeJounte Murray with that Lakers. I don't like DeJounte Murray with pretty much every team he's linked with at all, just because of him as a player. Really, limited shooter, needs the ball, high usage guy to have the best offensive ability that he's got, and he's gonna, well,
The
to put him
Spurs.
on a team with both Braun and AD, he's gonna be the third option at best. I
Hmm.
just don't see that being a great fit for that Lakers team.
That's fair. He put AD to work in that pick and roll. I think that pick and roll would be nice. But like, I don't know. It depends what the Lakers want to do. Do they want the LeBron that was off ball against the Warriors, or do they want the on ball LeBron that was like phenomenal in the first half of Game 4 against the Nuggets?
I would prefer them to go off ball due to the high usage rate
Mm-hmm.
that he could potentially have,
Mm-hmm.
which LeBron, he's LeBron. He's a physical anomaly, but at the same time, he's not getting any younger.
Right.
So
Right.
for a team that has him, you don't want him to have the ball in his hands all game like he did a decade ago during his prime. That's not sustainable.
Okay, that's fair. I do want to say this back to what I was talking about. I don't want to be the devil's advocate, but I do feel like maybe one reason they haven't made the trade yet is because Rob Pelinka just doesn't believe in the team. Like he says, like, look, I can bring in whoever you want to link me to, Tyus Jones, all the names I mentioned before. I just don't think that whatever move we make is going to make us a championship contender or like a championship winning team, and that's why he doesn't want to give up future assets. But that's like the only scenario I could see why you haven't made a trade yet.
23 on the team, man.
23.
23 is on the team. You got to.
Best 39-year-old of all time, by the way,
What, in not just basketball, but like in any sport?
for sure. Well, how old was Brady when when he went against the Chiefs?
What, in 20,
20.
2020?
20. What is it? I think it was
I know
2021.
he was like well above 40. He was well above 40. 44. He was 44.
Give me Brown. Give me Brown. Tom
Brett,
Brady throwing passes. LeBron is dunking on Paul George.
hey, Tom Brady was top 5. Into his 40s.
Yes, this is true. This is true. Brown is like you can make an argument for top 5.
Yeah, you still can.
Yeah.
You still can.
But my number 3 was the Philadelphia 76ers. And it's really two reasons. And I'm going to give you a simple question, and all I want is a number. Okay? How many championships combined have Daryl Morey and Joel Embiid won?
Fuck all 0.
Exactly. That's the reason why they have so much pressure. Joel Embiid, 70 piece last night. He's averaging 36 a game right now in like 35 minutes, which is just absurd. And no matter what he does in the regular season, everybody's going to say, do it in the playoffs. This has to be the year he does it. Otherwise, the narratives are going to go crazy. And then Daryl Morey has a bit of pressure, in my opinion, just because, one, I think this team needs a trade before the trade deadline. I'd be shocked if this team doesn't make a trade before the trade deadline. I don't think it needs to be necessarily a big trade, but like a third piece. Because you never know what Tobias you're going to get in the playoffs.
Even with his improved role,
He's
like,
improved.
he's been more involved, way more involved in the offense than
Shout out
any
Nick Nurse.
year any year he was with Doc or
Mhm.
Brett Brown.
Yeah. And you do have quality role players like Kelly Oubre. Nick Batum's been solid for them. But like you could trade Marcus Morris, you can trade Robert Covington. And you could get like I don't know. D'Anthony Melton's been good in the starting lineup, but I think they could improve there. And I think like because right now they're a bit small. They have Tyrese, they have Kelly Oubre, and they have D'Anthony Melton. Even though D'Anthony Melton plays bigger than his size, I think that they could use another like forward just in general. Like I don't know who's on the market.
Do you think Bruce Brown or
I would like Bruce Brown for them. Bruce Brown's actually I think OG was their ideal target,
yeah?
but I think Bruce Brown would be like a really good fit for them.
Mm.
He'd be solid, and he's like another mold of those type of players that they have.
bro, I thought Jalen McDaniels. I thought he was gonna be the guy for them last year when they
Oh no,
acquired him
no, no.
during the trade deadline, but that didn't work out. He was getting DMPs in the playoffs.
Nah. If it was Jaden McDaniels, they would have. The Sixers would be on some shit right now.
Fairs. Fairs. That would be very nice.
But I just feel like they got so much pressure. Joel wants to build his legacy, and he wants to prove that he's one of the greats. Daryl Morey, he's always had these questions: can he do it in Houston? Can he do it in Philly? He's always had great players, and if he can't do it this year, then it's like all hell breaks loose. So I have the Sixers at 3.
Okay.
Who's your number 2?
The LA Clippers.
Okay.
LA Clippers with the big three, PG, Kawhi, Harden. It was very rocky to start, super rocky. They lost to a Nuggets team without Jamal and Jokic. The Reggie Jackson and DeAndre Jordan legacy games.
Yeah.
That was interesting to see.
And then since then, they've been unstoppable.
Yeah, they've been great. With Harden, they have a 23-12 record. They're all fully healthy. The PG and Kawhi, they've been the healthiest they've ever been since their first year back in 2019.
Yeah.
They've only missed 6 games combined between the two this season.
Wow. And we're like midway through the season.
Well, yeah, imagine
crazy.
telling
That's crazy.
Clippers fans last year, even 2 years ago, that they would still be healthy at this point.
Yeah. That's huge.
And they've been great too as well when they've been playing together.
No, for sure.
And to continue, healthiest they've ever been since the first year. The big three's gelling together. All the role players are playing within their specific roles. Russ, Zubac, I know he's banged up right now. He's not in the lineup with his injury, but he's been very solid as a pick and roll big with Harden in that game. It's the year right now for them to make the conference finals again in the West, or even make the NBA finals.
Can I say something? You know I listen to Zach Lowe, right?
Yeah.
And Zach Lowe, he I don't know if he lives in the LA or the Cali area, but he's down there quite a bit. And because of that, he goes to Clippers games, right? And he watches with Clipper execs. And he had a like assistant coach on. And the assistant coach was raving about James Harden and how well like when he came in, like when James Harden came to the Clippers locker room, he was saying the narrative was like, this dude just wants to party. He wants to go to a club. He's going to come in with a fast suit if he's not happy.
Trying to hang out with little baby all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he said, like, every day after practice before Zoo was hurt, like, Zoo, Mason Plumlee, and Tice would stay, like, 15 to 20 minutes after every practice and just practice pick and roll plays. And it's like, and he was saying, like, James Harden's, like, always one of the first people in the gym. And it's like, where was this James Harden? I've never heard about this James Harden before. It's great to see, and I think it's a huge reason why the Clippers are playing as well as they are. And like, he's built that chemistry. He's building the rapport with the guys. I mean, him and Zubac like have been a phenomenal pick and roll, and he's not even having high usage this year. Like his usage, it's Kawhi and then it's him, and he's not really doing anything with the ball unless it is a pick and roll, and that's where he's best at. And so, like, Ty Lue's figured it out. Russ has accepted a bench role. Norman Powell is shooting, like, 45% on catch and shoot threes, which is exactly what they need. Like all pieces are clicking for them. So, yeah, this has to be the year for them.
It has to be. And with the Clippers, they're one of the oldest rosters in the league. Their main core, besides Zubac, they're all in their 30s or well into their 30s.
Yeah.
We don't know when there's going to be a fall-off with either PG, Harden, Kawhi, even Russ soon. So at this point, in this year, with how well the team's been playing, this could be their best chance to potentially win a championship.
For sure. I think it is. Last year I had Clippers-Sixers finals. We'll see how that ages this year.
Yeah, I had Clippers-Bucks finals, and that aged like milk, so we'll see what happens.
We both had Nuggets-Celtics. That shit's not looking bad either.
Nope. That'd be a great series,
My
too.
number 2.
That'd be a very good series.
My number 2. The first player that we have on the list. Damian Lillard.
Oh, man.
What do you think?
I actually have him outside my top 5.
Oh.
I have
Well,
him
I
outside
assumed.
my top 5. I kind of put him in as an honorable mention, but...
Okay. What's the excuse now, Dan? I've been making excuses for you all these years.
Damian Lillard, you're under watch. You were under surveillance, my brother.
Yeah. The Bucks are the 2 seed, but their record is better than how they've played this year, in my opinion. Um, and when I look at this team, it's like Giannis has been phenomenal this year. You're getting like the best Giannis that he has to give. And like the defense hasn't been there, and Dame hasn't been the same. And notoriously, we've always said like Dame just needs some help in the playoffs, right? If you remember, like even when he did make the conference finals against the Warriors and KD was down, like his starting center was Enes Kanter. He had Al Farouk Aminu. He had Evan Turner coming off the bench. Like the team just wasn't well orchestrated.
Mo Harkless,
Mo Harkless. Who else was there?
Seth Curry,
Seth Curry. That young Seth Curry. Rodney Hood.
Rodney Hood, bro. The dagger he had
On
versus the
Nuggets.
Nuggets.
I remember that.
Bro, he barely played that game. Then he hit the dagger 3. That was crazy.
But like we always said, it's about roster construction, and this Bucks team, we've seen them win a championship, minus Drew Holiday. But like, you have Chris Middleton. I want to see them play Andre Jackson more. His minutes have been really good. Same with Marion Beauchamp. But like this Bucks roster, they're aging. Brook Lopez, he obviously has had back surgery and is aging. Chris Middleton has had surgeries and he's getting up there. Bobby Portis, even if Jay Crowder finally gets minutes.
I could see Bobby Portis being traded before the deadline.
But what are you getting back for Bobby Portis? Or what do you want back for Bobby Portis? Like, what do they need?
3-and-D guys, just defenders.
See, Malik Beasley's been great this year from 3, just not on D.
At all,
But-
and we kind of expected that heading into the
But
year.
that's his comp. Like,
Yeah,
if Drew Holiday is still there, then that's a great signing.
it would be a great signing, but obviously they traded Drew to
Yeah.
get Dame,
But-
and I can understand where they're coming from
Uh-huh.
to get an elite scorer alongside Giannis and Damian Lillard,
Mm-hmm.
but that Drew Holiday departure, the impact it had defensively as well.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they're missing his presence a lot.
They are. So I have Dame at 2. Just because he has to win. They have to win. Like, this team, they probably have a 2-year window. They're going to say that this year is the gelling year if it doesn't go right.
Yeah,
but
but
the
that was
aspirations are championship or bust.
That was the main reason why I didn't have Dame in this top 5 is because of the gelling period.
That's fair.
Usually with big acquisitions like this, a big 2, big 3 being formed, the first year is the gelling year. You get all of the kinks out. Guys fit into their roles, get into the situations where they're best suited towards. And then the year after that is the point where, we got to win. This is the year where we need to win a championship.
That's fair. But I think, like, what I was saying about how the teams who traded early, like, were doing it to build that championship boost, like, as opposed to what the Suns did last year, where it was at the trade deadline and you're really figuring it out on the fly. Like, this was before the season. This was before training camp. Like, they've had plenty of time together. So, like, I understand you might want to call it gelling, like, oh, it's a first-year head coach, too, who, I mean, I don't know. I haven't really been impressed with Adrian Griffin.
No,
I can't say that.
He's been subpar
Right.
for what kind of roster he's been given. Hey, a lot of people been crapping on Joe Mazzulla. A lot of people been crapping on my guy Joe Mazzulla ever since he's been the Celtics head coach. But at least with the roster he's been having,
That's fair.
that team's been looking way more competent than the Bucks under Adrian Griffin.
Yes, I do agree.
I got to take my W
Which,
somewhere.
by the way, Missoula had a really good coaching game against the Mavs last night. I was
Sure
locked
did.
in on you guys.
Great win. I was low-key, I was paying a little bit more attention towards Cat and Embiid's night because
That's fair.
obviously he was scoring nice, but again, we played a great game versus
See, I
Dallas.
watched Sixers Spurs first half because I wanted to see Embiid versus Wemby. And, like, Wemby had a good first half. He had, like, 18 and, like, 8, I think. But, I mean, like, it was, like, 32 for Joel. I came back from half, and he had, like, 50. I was like, okay, so they're just not going to defend him.
Bro, they was putting Embiid in single coverage.
Yeah, they were. Embiid is so dominant. Like, as a scorer, it's arguably the best I've seen in my lifetime.
His scoring rivals Will Chamberlain as like best scoring.
Did you see
big
he
man of all
recreated the
time.
pick, but with 70?
Oh yeah, I don't know why they didn't do it with Sharpie. I could barely see the number. on
Yeah,
it.
they should have.
Yeah.
They should have. But he,
Now, quick question though. Do you think Wolt's 100-point games real? Did it happen for real?
uh, I don't know, so I'll say yes, but there's a decent chance that it did. But as a basketball fan, I want to think that it's happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's cool that only one person has scored 100.
But was it truly real?
100.
Did it truly happen though?
Was it literally? Uh, hold on. Back to the list. You told me you had a player on your list, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're at number 1, so we don't have the same number 1. Which I'm curious how you don't have my team on here, but we'll get to them.
Why I don't have the Knicks?
No.
Oh,
Team, like one of the, like my number
one
one.
of your team.
My number 1 isn't on your list, then, because you're at your number 1.
Well, because if you're gonna say the Knicks, now I would have said, yo, you're fucking
Oh
crazy.
no. Knicks are not even probably in the top 10.
Okay.
But who is your number 1?
My number 1. Well, it's kind of combined right now, but mainly I'm going to talk about Joel Embiid.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Joel Hans Embiid. It's time, brother. It's time. There's no excuses. Zero excuses. You have the best coach you've ever had in your playing career in Nick Nurse. Compared to Doc Rivers and Brett Brown, the Sixers under Nick Nurse have looked the most competent offensively and defensively. They look like the most complete team. Arguably the best running man you've ever had in Philly, especially since Jimmy Butler's departure, and Tyrese Maxey. He's took the leap this year.
Mm-hmm.
He's most likely gonna win MIP Most Improved with a higher with more opportunity. You're shaking your head. You're shaking your head. I think it should go to Şengün from Houston. I really do.
Şengün's a good one.
It's gonna go to Şengün. Well, it should go to Şengün.
I can see Derek White. I could see Jalen Williams. No, I don't want to give it to a 2-year player.
Mm-hmm.
Or third year player.
Right.
But continue.
This Philly team, how it's constructed right now, the most complete roster you've ever had. You're gonna win your second MVP in your career. You're averaging 55 points per game, averaging a triple-double every night too, putting up crazy historical numbers, put up 70 points against the Spurs the other night. This is the perfect season to prove every doubter wrong that you are a perennial playoff choker, which who could blame them from your previous playoff performances?
Mm-hmm.
2018, got beat by Boston in the second round, play like trash. 2019, lose in the second round to Toronto, you play like garbage. 2021, the Hawks series, blow a 3-2 lead, play like trash in that series as well. 2022, against the Heat, played bad. Last year against Boston, blew a 3-2 lead, when in Game 6, you had the chance of giving Philly fans their greatest moment ever since AI stepped over Tyronn Lue in the finals by taking them to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 01. This year, you have the perfect opportunity to prove every doubter wrong about you and your playoff failures, and to etch yourself as a proven all-time great, and not just some guy that put up a bunch of stats, a bunch of numbers against the Washington Wizards of the world and the Charlotte Hornets of the world in the regular season. You have the opportunity to make yourself into an actual threat, an actual winning basketball player. It's time. It is time.
Mm-hmm. Has to be. Yeah, I've said everything I got to say about Joel, and I think you nailed it. I do want to say I was looking at most improved player. I don't know how we didn't mention Jalen Johnson.
Oh, he should be top 3. And my God, hey, I was so right about Jalen Johnson. I knew for a fact that they should have been giving him way more burn than DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre Hunter should be
John
traded.
Collins. They had to trade John Collins.
Both DeAndre Hunter and even John Collins too,
Yeah.
because of Jalen Johnson's higher ceiling, and he has been balling this year on a very disappointing Hawks team. Which salute to him for that. He's one of Atlanta's brighter spots right now what seems like a very bleak future for them, even
Yeah.
with Trae Young.
Yeah. Get well soon, Trae Young. Concussion protocol or concussion. But my number one, and I was shocked you didn't have them. The Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics don't got championship pressure. Telling me Tatum don't got pressure this year. I'm just curious. Like how could they not make the list, even if they're 5? Joe Mazzulla don't got pressure. He's coaching for his job right now this year. Everybody's got pressure except Brad Stevens.
Right, because he's done nothing wrong since becoming GM. Every offseason, we've hit home runs every time.
Porzingis this
getting
year.
Porzingis,
Drew Holiday too.
or getting Drew Holiday, us getting Malcolm Brogdon for his value, and then flipping Malcolm Brogdon.
But
No, I'm gonna be completely honest. I was ducking from the smoke.
that's fair.
I was ducking from the smoke, and I apologize.
That's fair.
And I apologize for that, for our fan base. I was ducking from the smoke. I'll be completely honest.
See, if this was the Chiefs, you would have wanted the smoke.
I would have been one this one because we have proven to step up in those moments.
But I'm gonna talk about the Celtics for a sec. The Celtics the last couple years in the playoffs. Let's just go back in history, right? Conference finals lost this year where you were down 3-0, right? At one point. The year before, you lose in the finals where you kind of have the more talented team, but you lose like some moments where Jordan Poole goes bananas and you let Andrew Wiggins look the best he's ever looked. The year before that, lost to Philly in the playoffs. Lost to the Heat in the playoffs. That was the bubble year, I believe, right? So you have those years of disappointment. Jaylen Brown just got this massive extension. You make all these offseason trades where you look like the favorite. You're what is it? What are you guys at home? 39-1 or something right now?
Yeah.
Like just a ridiculous home record. The best first quarter, one of the best first quarter teams in the league. It has to be this year. We're talking about it's time for Joel. This has to be the Celtics year. Like your team is too complete. Tatum is trying to make his cases to be one of the greats. He wants to be in that MVP conversation. This is how he can get there.
You're not lying.
I'm saying.
You're not lying.
And Joe Mazzulla's coaching for his job too. If they go out in the conference finals again, you know he's gone. You guys, half the fan base wanted him gone last year.
My man going through it. He going through it, and I'm actually a Mazzulla believer. Contrary to the Celtics fan base, I'm actually a believer in Mazzulla. I feel like with this roster we have, I truly believe he is capable of coaching and leading this team to a championship this season.
See, I think he's a good coach. You guys play well under him. The only thing I really dislike is just how he uses his timeouts.
The tendency with the 3-point shot, which for how this offense is constructed, I understand, but with our main two guys, Brown and Tatum, I do want them to have more of their attempts inside the paint when they're given the opportunities instead of settling for jump shots.
Right.
Because in the playoffs, when the defense, teams tying up their defense, and they look towards your tendencies and try to diminish them, your positives on the court. Our 3-point shooting can be exploded, and with the 3-point shot, it can be very streaky.
Yeah.
Very, very streaky. Yeah. And we saw that last year versus the Heat. One of the reasons why we were down 3-0 is that our shooting was poor, and we couldn't match up against Miami, who were very hot from 3 the entire postseason run.
Right. No, and you also just brought, this veteranship. I promise you, Drew Holiday is going to have one game where he just goes bananas and takes you over the top when, Tatum can't get the shot to fall or Brown can't get the shot to fall. He's going to have one of those games. Porzingis has been a revelation for this Celtics team. I would like maybe a bigger backup guard, like as a trade piece.
I want another wing.
I want another
wing. Sam Hauser, I've been a Sam Hauser guy for the longest, but I can clearly see now why Missoula was looking towards Grant for majority of
Grant's not
those
been great
minutes.
either.
No, he hasn't, but at the same time, I can see why he decided to go over Grant
Uh-huh.
than Hauser during that playoff run last year. Because with Hauser, when the shot is not falling, what can he remotely do well on the basketball court? And
No.
he's not. He hasn't defensively. He hasn't been that great this season either.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's
Lamar
not a lot of
Stevens has been all right,
positives.
though. But, I mean, he's more playing like a backup
I
big than wing.
I don't want him to get a ton of playoff minutes. I really don't.
That's fair.
Brissett or
Well,
yeah, Brissett. Well, Walsh, he's still very raw, so I
yeah,
don't
he
want him to
is.
get to have it begin with. But yeah, Brissett and Lamar Stevens too as well.
Yeah. I mean, you got your backup big figured out. As long as your two bigs stay healthy, you're
No,
in a good
we don't need a
position.
backup big.
Yeah.
I think if
Horford
you were to
holds it
go,
down.
yeah, Horford and Porzingis, and then if you were to go with another backup big, a third big in the playoffs, then I'd rather go with Cornette than Akeda.
Cornette hasn't been bad. He was decent last
Like
night.
as the third best big, like the backup big, he's
Mhm.
been fine in his role, so I don't mind him.
Yeah. If you got a, I don't know, like a Tyus Jones, I would like that quite a bit. I don't know if you have enough on your bench to trade.
I don't think Tyus Jones would be that great of a get. We need a wing. We need a wing. We need 3-and-D wing
The problem
again.
is you have no assets to trade because your top 6 is elite, but like 7 through 10 is not very good.
No, yeah,
So
that's our issue.
So it's like you kind of don't have the best value to trade. Would you want? And I don't know if he's available. Would you want Aaron Wiggins from the Thunder? I like his game. I think he's the better Wiggins at the moment.
Andrew Wiggins?
For sure, I actually do.
Damn, what a fall off.
He should actually kind of be out of the rotation.
Who's getting Andrew Wiggins if the Warriors were to trade him?
Toronto? Toronto's the only leaks I've seen, and it was before RJ was there.
Yeah,
Because like he could be the Canada boy.
I don't know, man.
All right, but let's get into this football.
Yeah.
You want to start NFC or AFC?
AFC. Can we start off with Chiefs Bills?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Hey man, what I witnessed last Sunday was the definition of voodoo magic.
Mm-hmm.
It was peak voodoo magic. Bro, I was in shock with that ending, and with the Chiefs. How we still made it to the AFC title game this far, with how bad the offense has been looking, the whole entire year, so many mistakes week to week. All the offense hasn't been able to get it going, red zone issues, but to still be able to overcome all of that and to clean all of those mistakes up where it matters the most. Pacheco stepping up, Edwards-Helaire stepping up, Kelsey obviously with his experience stepping up when needed to the most. Rasheed Rice having a great rookie year. For us to still be in this moment, it's unbelievable, and it just speaks on the resiliency of this Chiefs team.
There's a saying in the NBA that's kind of dead now, or it's dying at least. Never bet against 30. What's the saying for football?
Never bet against 15.
Never bet against 15.
Patrick LaVon Mahomes II, he is inevitable.
Yeah.
Inevitable indeed.
Yeah. What is it, Mr. January?
Mr. January indeed. January
Mr.
Mahomes.
This game had huge impacts for a ton of reasons. I thought that I still think that the Chiefs are going to have an interesting offseason, but I think it takes a lot of pressure off the front office that they won this game.
Yeah, it does for sure. And this playoff run as a whole.
Yeah. But if you want to talk about the other front office, and I'll talk about the other team, they have a lot of questions to answer. Because in years past, it was, overtime screwed us. This year, you're at home. You have arguably the best offense you've ever had. Run game finally, it looks like Josh Allen's finally going to have a run game. They're, 7-1 or 6-1 with the new OC. And look what happens. They lose at home to Patrick Mahomes.
Against the worst Chiefs team in the
By
Mahomes
any
era
statistical
by
category
far.
you want to look at, too, for Mahomes. Like, this was his worst year statistically by any category. Now you can say that's the receivers, which is fair, but like statistically speaking, it was. And exactly, you have this stuff going for you. You look extremely hot, and the Chiefs kind of look like, oh wow, we lost to the Raiders at the end of the year. We
Yeah,
lost to
it
the
was
Broncos this
Christmas.
year. It just hasn't looked good. And the fact that they were still able to do it, the fact that the year before you barely beat Skylar Thompson and the Dolphins, I think there has to be some changes made to this roster.
I know exactly the change they should make, and it starts at the top with their coaching staff.
It starts with their coaching staff. It might start with trading 14 too.
Oh, it for sure has to be with trading 14. That man was horrible. That man was horrible on Sunday.
He was horrible the second half of the year.
Yeah, he was not good. You can honestly say Khalil Shakur.
Shakir,
Yeah, Shakir. He was their second best receiving option during that stretch.
Yeah. And Gabe Davis being out did hurt them, but like still,
He's not good. He's
he's
walking.
he's good against the Chiefs.
That was one.
Hey,
He's for sure walking this offseason. And
Yeah,
and if any team gives him big money to be their first, even second best receiver in their core, they're dumb. They're very dumb.
where do you think he'll go? Patriots.
I have no clue.
That's fair.
I really have no clue.
That's fair.
Maybe Panthers. Who knows?
Ooh,
Panthers.
Panthers.
The Panthers love giving money,
Yeah.
like throwing money
They
away
left.
to stupid, like with stupid decisions.
They gave
Bro.
Thielen like 40.
Bro, the Panthers. Their GM is an in-house hire. Their new GM
Yeah, I
is an
know.
in-house hire.
They promoted their assistant.
One of the worst front offenses in the past few years.
Yeah.
And with what David Tepper and their organizational crew did, they gave the GM spot to an in-house guy. That is the definition of organizational malpractice. It's stupid. But yeah, let's continue with the Bills Chiefs.
But yeah, it's so interesting where the Bills go from here, because I felt like you always had these excuses, and now there's no excuse.
I was gonna say that before, but Sean McDermott should be fired.
I've been on that.
He should be
I
fired.
don't need to repeat that. I've
He
stated
should be
my opinion
fired.
before.
I have a stat right now. In their last 4 playoff elimination games, which they've played the Chiefs 3 times
Mhm.
and the Bengals once,
Right.
they have allowed 134 points. And they've allowed 16 touchdowns in 36 drives.
Hold on. How many points did they give up to Skylar Thompson last year too? Wasn't it like 30 something?
It had to be
It was 34-31
okay.
against Skylar. So they gave up 31 points.
Well, you have to negate the touchdown.
Was there a pick six?
Yeah, it was a fumble.
Fumble six?
Yeah, Josh Allen had, and it went back for 6. So the Bills let out 24 in that game, which 24 points allowed in a playoff game to Skylar Thompson, their third string quarterback. It's unacceptable.
It is. And the fact that they only beat him by 3 points is unacceptable.
That too.
But yeah, and then the next week they got absolutely smoked by the Bengals.
Yeah. But there's a pattern though with Sean McDermott and their defense. All the Chiefs games, when it mattered the most, couldn't stop Mahomes and the Chiefs offense.
Mhm.
We know what happened during the 13 seconds in that divisional game in 2021. The softest zone coverage I have ever seen against arguably the greatest quarterback we have ever seen, the greatest tight end we ever seen, in an easily Hall of Fame wide receiver in Tyreek Hill.
Especially when Mahomes has notoriously killed zone defenses. Like that's the best coverage that he throws against.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And last year against the Bengals, the pass rush non-existent. Couldn't get the Burrow all game. Burrow had a completely clean pocket the entire game. Was able to cook the Bills secondary. They got their asses kicked at home, and then this year too as well. They only allowed the Chiefs to punt one time the entire game.
Yeah. Oh, not to mention their horrible fake punt. That was one of the worst fake punts I've ever
Disney
seen.
Channel ass script. I couldn't believe my eyes when they tried that. Disney Channel ass script, bro. That is an afternoon special masterclass.
Where do you it would have been everywhere. It would have been all over social media if they converted.
There was no reason for you to do that.
I know. I agree. Oh, Mikael Hardman better not get minutes against the Ravens. He better not see the
That
field.
dude's horrible.
He better not see the field.
That dude is terrible.
But let's move on to the other AFC game. Ravens versus Texans. Tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, the game Baltimore had versus Houston, it showed the difference in maturity with their offensive play calling, led by Todd Monken, their OC,
Mm-hmm.
compared to Greg Roman, their previous OC.
Yeah.
And in this game, the first half, Houston, they're very aggressive with the blitz, which uh, with the regular season, they're one of the least blitzing teams in the entire league. They
Mm-hmm.
weren't a heavy blitzing team. But with this game, they switched it up. Lamar and this offense, they got very uncomfortable. The passing game was not basically non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
But in the second half, they adjusted. So salute to Todd Monken, got the ball out of Lamar's hands really very quick. Easier routes for receivers to get open and
Mm-hmm.
allowing Lamar to beat this Houston defense secondary with his arm and his accuracy as well.
Mm-hmm.
I have one stat to
Yeah.
tell you, Matt.
Yeah.
In the first half, Lamar Jackson had an average time of 3.9 seconds to throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
In the second half, he had 2.5 seconds. That was the difference maker in how that Ravens the offense was more efficient, plus the run game being able to get it going down the stretch. And to continue with my point, in the years prior in the playoffs, Greg Roman, the Ravens they were always one of the best rushing offenses in the entire league with Lamar and their run game, banking off that. But when it came to the postseason, when defenses were able to counter their run game, they had no other ways to beat you.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't adjust.
Yeah.
And with what we saw last Saturday, it just showed the difference maker in giving Lamar a capable play caller who can adjust with the flow of the game and with what the defense is giving to them.
Yeah. I thought you hit on it. The second half adjustments were amazing by Todd Monken in the offense. I thought he called some beautiful designed runs for Lamar. Whether it was rolling him out to the left with Ronnie Stanley as like the lead blocker, or I think it was Justice Hill or Gus Edwards was the design. Like it was a QB draw and they just picked up the spy the running back did, which I thought was actually really smart. But I was so impressed with this defense because the week before, the Cleveland Browns had been touted as this top 3 defense, elite defense, broke records all year, and this Texans team hung like 30 or 40 points on them, and this Texans team didn't even score a touchdown. It was held to less than double-digit points, and the defense had C.J. Stroud in the offensive line rattled the whole game. So I was really impressed, and they did that without Marlon Humphrey, by the way. I think he'll come back, which is a huge addition for them. And yeah, I think that they look like a true number 1 seed at the moment.
For sure. And before we get into the next game, to recap, with the Texans, and with C.J. Stroud and D'Amico Ryans, great first year. No one expected them to be as good as they were, to win the AFC South and even win a playoff game. So salute to them.
Mm-hmm.
But next year and moving forward, they cannot be complacent.
No,
They absolutely cannot be complacent. And we saw that with Jacksonville last year.
Yeah.
It was the same thing. Won the AFC South, even won a playoff game. That huge comeback at home against the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
In the divisional round, they hung with KC for the most of the game. And everybody thought that, okay, they have such a bright future. They found their guy in Trevor Lawrence with capable weapons and play calling around them. And then this year, what happened? Got complacent. Really, the only move they made to improve their roster was the Calvin Ridley trade, which that happened in last year's trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
And they missed the playoffs, had that big collapse the second half of the season.
Yeah.
And who knows where this team's at moving forward.
The good news, though, as opposed to the Jags, I believe, don't the Texans have 2 first-round picks this year?
Yes, they have 2 first-round
They have
picks
2 first,
from
and I
the
think
Deshaun
they
Watson
have
trade.
quite a bit of cap room.
They have $75 million in cap,
Right.
but they have a lot of free agents that they could potentially re-sign. Like a Dalton Schultz Jonathan Greenard had a great year.
Hmm.
Devin Singletary was solid in his
Yeah.
position, and other guys like Blake Cashman and Derek Barnett as well defensively.
See, I don't know. That's a team I'm okay if they draft a running back
In the later rounds, yeah.
second round. Like if there's a really, I don't know. You would have to tell me if there's a good running back this draft
Blake Corum, I think he would be RB1.
from Michigan.
Yeah, from Michigan. But we'll have to see down the line. At this point, RB value, it's very wishy washy.
I'm
It's
saying
year
if you're
through
getting a
year.
draft with Bijan, Jameer Gibbs, and Kyron Williams again, if you're getting that running back draft class,
Mm.
it might be worth it to take one.
I don't know, man. Yeah, Blake Corum, Jonathan Brooks from Texas.
Oh
I
yeah, I've heard
think
about him. He's good
I
from what I've
think
heard.
Trey Benson declared from Florida State. Bucky Irving from Oregon. I liked him in the games I saw him play as well.
Hmm.
So who knows at this point? We'll have to see come March and April when draft season gets into full swing.
But those two are factors where I think they might be able to avoid like being asleep at the wheel like Jacksonville did. Is just because they're gonna hopefully. I mean, this team looks like they can draft pretty well with what C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson have been, and Derek Stingley. Um, so I think that if they hit their picks and with the cap room they have, whether they bring back a guy like Dalton Schultz, who was pretty good for them this year, or bring in some new talent, I think either way they can improve.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Um, do you want to make the AFC prediction now, or you want to recap all the games first?
We gotta recap the NFC games. Then we'll get to our predictions.
But um, which NFC game you want to start with? Packers, Niners, or Buccaneers, Lions?
Let's get Bucks Lions out the way.
All right. Bucks, Lions. First of all, this is completely unrelated to the game. Ish. CJ Garner Johnson. I don't understand why he's talking so much smack to Baker for the pick. I understand he picked him, but it was like a tip.
You don't understand?
Well, I understand, but like I don't think like the pick is like really watching the tape.
Bro, that's just the nature of the DB. DBs are always gonna talk shit.
For
Hey,
sure.
hey, some people don't like CJ Gardner Johnson. I love what he's been
I
doing.
like him. I like him. I just think like I think like the trash he talks is funny. And I was a big fan when they signed him from the Eagles. I think that's partly why the Eagles secondary took a big hit this year.
Mhm.
But the pick was crazy because it was like off a receiver's hands at the end of the day. Like if you the other pick that was Baker's fault for sure.
Yeah.
But like this pick, like I don't even think you could blame Baker much. That's why I didn't like.
No, you can't. But at the same time, hey, that's part of being a DB. You're gonna talk shit regardless.
But other than that, what I took away from that is that Todd Bowles should not be back.
Oh,
Todd Bowles should not be back. I'm not even talking about the timeout because I think that was actually not true. I think
it was true.
It was
they
true?
Still, yeah, they still had a chance to get the ball
I
back.
thought there was a broadcasting error where they
No.
didn't have a timeout.
No, it wasn't.
But even if that's the case, right? Like even if they call a timeout, he's right. They don't have a good chance of winning, especially with how badly has kicked this year. But I felt like there were so many instances where I watched the Rams Lions game the week before, and I saw 4th and 1, own side of the field, and I saw Sean McVay calling some aggressive plays, but they converted every single time. Every 4th and 1 the Bucks got into, they punted without even like staying on the field. Like the offense just immediately ran towards the sideline as if there was no threat like they'd ever consider going for it. That's just not the way the NFL is coached anymore. We've seen the success with the Lions. The Lions have been the most aggressive team on 4th down this year, regular season and postseason wise. And you're seeing their success. They're in the NFC Championship. You saw Sean McVay; their team was overachieving all year, right? And whereas like the Bucks, like you had this chance, you're in this game against the Detroit Lions, and you were so unwilling to go for it. And defensively, that's his side of the ball, and they got cooked.
That's true. And with Bowles' defensive unit, in certain parts of the year, especially when they played against more competitive offenses, their defense showed to be very vulnerable, especially in the secondary.
Yeah.
And when they matched up against Detroit, I thought it wasn't a great matchup to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
knowing the speed they have with a guy like Amon Ra and Jameson Williams.
Jameer Gibbs got loose.
Jameer Gibbs had a great game,
Yeah.
even with the limited touches he had,
Yeah.
and Sam Laporta
Mm-hmm.
being the great tight end he is.
Right.
I just thought that was a poor matchup to begin with, and what we saw with the Bills, the Bills, the Bucks secondary
Mm-hmm.
throughout the game, they didn't have an answer for the
No, they
Lions.
didn't.
Jared Goff, when he had time to throw, which he was getting a lot of clean pockets throughout the game,
Mm-hmm.
he was efficient, effective, was able to hit open receivers, and the receivers with their scheme, with Ben Johnson being capable in what they'd be able to run, they were able to get a ton of big plays, especially down the stretch.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Um. Yeah. Shout out Jared Goff. Shout out Jared Goff because he's been great. He's been
Mhm.
great for them.
Mhm.
And
Hey, yeah. One more thing before we move on to the next game. Frank Ragnow, absolute fucking dog
bro, their old line is probably the best old line left in the playoffs.
for sure. Frank Ragnow is a fucking dog. Sprained knee, sprained ankle in that game, completely in pain. You could clearly see him hurt on the sideline. And what he was able to do against Vita Vea, one of the best interior defensive linemen
Mm-hmm.
in the entire league,
Mm-hmm.
to neutralize him
Yeah.
and to make the Lions offense, especially in the run game when they ran between the tackles, still be effective.
Yeah.
Fucking incredible.
Yeah.
He is easily a top 3 center in the league, maybe the best center in the league that the league currently has post Kelsey retirement.
Nah.
The dude's amazing.
He's
He's been
second.
amazing.
He's second behind that guy that protects number 15.
Creed Humphrey.
Yeah.
I'm saying that as a Chiefs fan, I think he's better than Creed.
I think Creed is so nice. And I don't know. Ragnar's actually not that old either. I think he's under 30.
He's 27.
Yeah. He might be better. He actually might be better. Let's move on to the other game, West Coast game.
Yeah.
San Fran versus Green Bay.
Can I start first?
Yeah.
Green Bay.
Amazing
They're
season.
gonna amazing season. Absolutely deserve to have their heads held up high. Jordan Love, like I said in last episode, he proved to be a franchise quarterback. LaFleur, great coach, great play caller. Lots of exciting weapons offensively. Who knows how much they'll grow moving forward, but there are a ton of great pieces from the receiving core to look at moving forward that, hey, this is going to be a great unit on that side of the ball. Defensively, still have a lot of young, talented pieces, but man, they had an opportunity to do something special.
Mm-hmm.
And the NFL, you don't get to have this many opportunities like this, man. If they were to beat the Niners on the road as a 7th seed, if they matched up against the Detroit, or who knows if Tampa Bay could have pulled it off against Detroit at home on Sunday, they could have honestly been looking at, we're going to be in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
They could have been looking at Super Bowl berth,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of crazy, but you look at the field right now, if they were to play Detroit, which they matched up really well against the
They
Lions,
split the
actually.
season series.
They did split the season series. And when they played Detroit in that Thanksgiving game, a much improved team compared to the start of the year,
Mm-hmm.
they walked Detroit down on
Yeah.
their home turf.
Yeah. No. The Packers did it. The Packers did it again. Whether it was when Brett Favre was quarterback and they drafted Aaron Rodgers, and then Aaron Rodgers became the next big thing for the next 10 years, and now it looks like it's going to be Jordan Love. I thought maybe an underappreciated player for the Packers this season was Aaron Jones. Especially when he came back, this offense really started to take off, and you kind of saw his impact in those 2 playoff games. Matt LaFleur, phenomenal coaching season once again. Not a lot to say for the Packers because they just deserve their congratulations. Nobody even thought they would beat the Cowboys, and they demolished the Cowboys, and had the Packers had the 49ers on the ropes and played better.
Mm-hmm.
And for the 49ers, I got to talk about that man because there were 8 quarterbacks who played this weekend, and he was the 8th best quarterback
By far.
by far. And do you mind if I get into the predictions with this?
Sure, that's fine.
I've seen the 49ers before. And this is going to sound like Colin Cowherd. I don't know if you listen to him, but I saw it on the short. And it's a perfect way to sum up my thoughts. We've seen them with Jimmy Garoppolo with a stacked roster. We've seen them have these average quarterbacks with a stacked roster and continuously underperform.
Mm-hmm.
And this Lions team, I know Jared Goff is a much better quarterback than he is, a much better quarterback at home than he is on the road. But this Lions team, I think, can pull off the upset. I've seen this 49ers team too many times have the better coach, have the better scheme, have the better defense, have the better roster, and lose. And I think it can happen again this weekend.
I don't blame you at all.
Yeah.
I don't blame you at all for saying that. Especially what happened with the Niners when they played Green Bay. The Niners got smacked in the fucking mouth.
Mm-hmm.
The Packers run game with Aaron Jones, they ran on them all day.
Mm-hmm.
And offensively with Brock Purdy, I know he had the game-winning drive, was able to settle down, make accurate throws down the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part of the game, he looked fucking terrible.
Mm-hmm.
That it is what it is. He looked fucking bad.
And here's the thing is like everybody talks about the Detroit secondary, but the best thing that their defense does is stop the run. If you can stop the run early, which we'll see. I mean, it's San Francisco. They could get 6 yards to carry on any team.
Mm-hmm.
But if they can figure out a way to stop the run and force 3rd and longs, this is going to be a tough game for the 49ers.
Make Purdy pass.
Yeah.
Make him uncomfortable, especially when, especially if the Detroit gets an early lead and San Fran has to play from behind down the stretch. I could completely see reasoning.
And that's the thing that the Packers did really well is they're one of the best first quarter teams this year. We saw that against the Cowboys jumping to like a double-digit lead in the first quarter. And I think, did they have a double-digit lead at the end of no, they didn't have a double-digit lead at the end of the first quarter in this game. But they were up at the end of the first quarter. And if you can have that San Francisco 49ers team playing from behind, and especially if Dibo Samuel is out, he's an enormous X factor for them. But if he is out, this could be a very scary game, and I think I would take the Lions. But who are you going to take?
We'll see. And, yeah, let's just get into the championship games preview. With Detroit versus San Fran, you made some very good points. And I completely see why you're picking Detroit to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
I still got San Fran.
I will say, as a Rams fan, I was a bit hesitant to to pick the Lions because part of why we traded Jared Goff was because he struggled against the 49ers. And we always saw 49ers as a team we would have to go through, which we did.
That's true.
So I have no problem with picking the 49ers.
But with Jared Goff, his postseason run so far,
he's been great.
Been phenomenal.
He's been great.
Been really good. My biggest fear is with, the Lions matching up against the 49ers, especially with the banged-up Frank Ragnow, Jonah Jackson, their starting left guard. He's going to be out with an injury, which Detroit, their O-line, that's a huge part of their success. That's why Goff has been so effective.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the run game has always been elite since Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson, they've arrived in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And you take that element away, and they're going to match up against a Niners pass rush, which last week they were ineffective for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But on paper, they're still a very talented unit,
right?
Led by Nick Bosa.
Mm-hmm.
They could cause some damage, make Jared Goff very uncomfortable, force Detroit to get into a lot of long third downs, which with their offense, they don't want to get into those said long third downs. I can see San Fran pulling away from this one at home.
I will say, part of why I think the San Francisco 49ers look so bad, or not, I thought they didn't look like themselves at least, was because they basically had 2 weeks of rest. Like they clinched the number 1 seed in the NFC, so they benched their players week 18, and then they obviously had the first round bye, and like the divisional round against the Packers was kind of like their first game back. And for some teams that are rolling, a bye week can kind of be like it can kind of cool the steam off the run, or it can kind of slow down some guys. And so there is a chance that like there's a very real possibility like now that these guys are back and they're in motion, like they come out and they're sharper than they were on. I think they played on Saturday. Than on Saturday. Um, but you want to move on to the AFC predictions?
Yeah, for sure.
You can
Let's
start
get
that.
into it. Chiefs are gonna win this game at the bank.
Nah,
Never bet against 15.
I'm gonna bet against 15.
Poor
What is it?
decision.
What's Lamar? Number 1? Or
Number
no, he's
one
8.
in number one in what?
No, Lamar's number 8.
No, his jersey number.
Is 8.
What?
His jersey number is number 8.
Yeah, it's jersey. Yeah, okay, yeah, his
yeah.
jersey number's 8.
Yeah. But continue.
We got 15.
Sure.
We got 15.
But they got 8.
We got 15.
But they got 8.
And Taylor Swift.
They got Jim Harbaugh on the sidelines.
We got Taylor Swift. It don't matter. And Jason Kelsey. We don't matter. We got the whole. We pretty much got the whole world on our side.
No, you
Baltimore
don't.
guy.
No,
We're
you
Baltimore
don't.
guy.
Nah,
The Taylor Swift
nah,
fan base is the whole world.
nah.
At
I
this
saw
point.
a video, or not a video. I saw a picture on IG, and it's like who America wants to see in the Super Bowl, and it's the NFC picture. It's like Cali is the only team in San Francisco or that wants the 49ers. Rest of America's like we want to see the Lions. The Ravens game, the entire part of America is Ravens, and the only 2 spots that are rooting for the Chiefs are Ohio because of the Browns and the Bengals, and Kansas City, Missouri.
Are we sure that the entirety of America is rooting for Baltimore?
Yes,
Even Wyoming? Even the Dakotas, North and South?
yes.
Are we even Rhode Island?
Yeah, no, everybody's tired of the Chiefs. And no, like the true football fans are tired of the Taylor Swift saga. Not saga, but like always having to put the camera on her after every touchdown.
Oh, it's like 8 seconds a game, bro. You good? Y'all be alright.
Nah.
Y'all be fine. I don't know what they would do in the Super Bowl with that whole coverage. So I don't know if that
Good
could.
thing we won't have
That'll
to find
change.
out.
Oh no, we're gonna find out for sure. We're going to the bowl, man.
No.
We're going to the bowl.
This is the Ravens team. This is the team that has to do it. This home field advantage. I thought last week when everybody was like, "Oh, Patrick Mahomes is going to have his first road playoff game." Like he's a great quarterback. Like I wasn't worried about that. But I do think Baltimore's a better environment than Buffalo.
Right.
But much better defense. We saw that defense last week, and if they can, like the Chiefs all year have had a great run defense, but the Ravens like are built like to conquer a run defense. They're built to run. So if Lamar can get loose, I think it's going to be very dangerous for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I feel like the Ravens' run game it rolls around Lamar.
Oh,
And
for sure.
It always has
For
been.
sure. And to me, that's the sign of a great quarterback. Is like we're talking about Lamar. Let's talk about the weapons that he has. He has Flowers, Bateman, and Beckham, who barely played.
I wouldn't really say Bateman like that, but
He's the wide receiver too.
OBJ and Isaiah Likely as well.
Yeah. Isaiah Likely. But like, you look at the running backs. J.K. Dobbins went out. Keaton Mitchell, exciting big play rookie, went out. Mark Andrews has been out all year, right?
Keaton Mitchell, I feel bad. I feel so bad for the kid. That leg injury was nasty.
It was awful. But he has all those big players out, like big contributors on the offensive side out.
Mm-hmm.
What happens? 1 seed in the championship. Look at Brock Purdy. Dibo Samuel, one of his all pros goes down. And look how he looked on Sunday. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, to play devil's advocate for you, Matt, we saw what Purdy did without Dibo during that stretch.
That's fair.
The Browns game, he didn't look great. Obviously, the Niners, they had a 3-game losing streak.
Exactly.
Purdy wasn't that great up to par.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that I can see where your reasoning's coming from.
But yeah, I'll take Ravens in this one.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be a little bit more analytical with my analysis right
Please.
now. We have a lot of things going against us heading into this game. It's a bad matchup for us compared to when you compare all offense to their defense, led by Mike McDonald, their DC,
Should get
and
some.
with all
Should
of
get a
their,
head coaching job.
he should get a head coaching job. I want to see him in Seattle. That's the best destination for
Seattle's
him.
OC just went to Chicago.
Shane Roldan.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I want to see him in Seattle if he were to go to the team.
yeah.
But great DC, great defensive playmakers. Roquan Smith, Matabuike as
Patrick
well.
Queen.
Patrick Queen, Jadeveon Clowney having the best year of his career. Kyle Hamilton having a great year, all pro caliber year. Marlon Humphrey, he could possibly come back. When, well, with Baltimore's pass rush going up against our O line, especially with Joe Tooney possibly being out with a pec strain, Mahomes is going to have to put the team on his back like he usually does with his legs, creating time for his receivers to get open consistently, like a Rasheed Rice and a Travis Kelce. The run game with Pacheco and Edwards-Helaire, it needs to be efficient for us to have a chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Pacheco. I mean, we talked about it before, but this is the best running game that Patrick Mahomes has had in his career.
Yeah, by far.
And if they can kind of lean on that, and they can set themselves up in second and short and third and manageable, those types of situations, I think that'll be huge for them because you don't want to fall behind the chains on this Baltimore defense.
No, because they're very aggressive. Their zero blitzes super effective when they're able to use them.
And they disguise it really well too because they always will have Patrick Queen and Roquan there, but they'll drop out quite a bit, and then they'll go when you don't expect it.
Exactly.
I am a bit worried, because in the first half, I mean, they were saying it the whole game, this is the highest percentage D'Amico Ryan has ever blitzed in a game in his career. And, Spags is notorious for, his blitz packages. I'm wondering, if Baltimore has to try to implement what they did in the second half against those blitzes. And, I'm wondering if that's going to either play to Baltimore or to Kansas City.
I think it would play more to Baltimore's strengths with their receivers and their ability to create in the open space with guys like Zay Flowers and OBJ. Although with our secondary, with guys like McDuffie and Snead, that could be very hard for them to do that, especially when those guys are great jamming receivers pre-snap, especially L'Jarius Snead as well.
He's been great.
But I expect Baltimore to be efficient with the quick game, like we saw last week versus Houston. So I think they'll be effective in that regard.
Yeah, it doesn't feel right betting against the Chiefs, but
no, it doesn't.
It doesn't. But the Ravens are so good this year. We saw what they did on Christmas against the 49ers, and they've just handled their business all year.
No. Even if we were able to. Well, even if we were to lose on Sunday, then I would not be shocked at all because on paper, Baltimore is clearly the better team. But, we have the best player in the world and an all-time great at quarterback on our side, along with the greatest fan supporters on our side as well. So, yeah.
Yo. Fan supporters is crazy. Are you saying NFL supporters?
Both.
No, that's crazy.
Both.
You're saying you're better than the soccer fans in Europe?
Well, I wasn't talking about that. I wasn't gonna go that far.
America, I think Knicks got a better fan base
than the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here.
I think Knicks got.
Hell no.
You ain't been to MSG.
MSG's a tourist trap.
No.
That's for tourists. That ain't, bro. MSG not that loud compared to Arrowhead. Bro, are you crazy?
They're not that loud, but the fans are more passionate.
Man, KC way better than the Knicks fan base.
Man, if MSG did a whoa, if they did one of those, it'd be louder.
Chant, bro, and not better than the Tomahawk Chop. We Arrowhead gets loud. Arrowhead gets super loud. Come on.
I think
loudest stadium in the whole world. Come on now.
I think that Michigan's got better fans.
Hell no. Michigan?
Michigan.
Man, F the big house. They talking about Arrowhead.
It's a bigger stadium.
I don't care.
If that's how you want to go.
I don't care, bro. No,
and they're louder.
But I know for a fact when it comes to football, especially in the NFL, no one's beating KC with our fan support. Nobody.
The Lions been pretty good this
don't
year.
care. It's not Arrowhead loud.
Mike Tirico disagrees.
I don't
He
care
was
about Mike
there, and he
Tirico.
was there.
I don't care about Mike Tirico. What is his opinion? Great play-by-play guy. I don't care about his opinion. Arrowhead. We got the best fans in the
All
entire
right,
league by
let's
far.
finish with this since you talked about Airhead guy.
Let's go.
Top 3 broadcasting duos right now.
Broadcasting duos.
I think one should be consensus, by the way.
Buck and Aikman.
Nah, they're 2 for me.
What? Romo and Nance.
No, they're not even on the list.
Burkhardt and Olsen.
They're number 1.
Nah.
You don't like them?
Well, I do like them, but they're not suited for a big game.
They were good last year for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I understand that, but you compare them to Buck and Aikman, what they've done over the years? Nah.
Sometimes the young Bucks deserve some round.
Nah, you gotta appreciate the OGs.
All right, so you have Buck and Aikman at your 1. Who's your 2?
No, my number 2. I'm gonna have to go with I put Tirico and Collinsworth at 3,
Yeah.
and then Burkhardt and Olsen at 2,
I probably put them
and
at
then Nance and Romo at like 4.
Who does? Nah, you know who I might take? Who does it with Charles Davis? Is it Brian Johnson?
Iron Eagle.
I'd probably take Iron Eagle, Charles Davis, over
And-
Tirico and Collinsworth.
That's cap.
You don't think so? I enjoy when they do the Fox 11 o'clock games.
What? See, you mean the CBS ones?
Charles Davis is always on Fox.
No, he's on CBS.
Swear.
I know my broadcasting teams. Come on.
He's always on CBS.
Well, he was on Fox a few years back, but recently he moved to CBS with Iron Eagle. I think
Yeah, you're right.
No, I was about to say he was doing the broadcasting crew with Burkhardt, but Burkhardt used to do it with Daryl Johnston, and then obviously that got changed with Greg Olsen being a commentator now. So
Yeah.
no.
No, I like Burkhardt though. Burkhardt, I think, is one of the better play-by-play guys.
Like my favorite bit he does when like the receiver catches a deep ball, and he's like, he's got it.
He's got it.
Yo, that's my favorite part about him.
But I think NBA commentators are better. I think. I
Mm.
think there's more talent.
Go Bears.
I think I love me some Kevin Harlan and Stan Van Gundy.
Carlin,
Kevin.
yeah. Bo, she should have been given that number 1 spot for TNT like a long time ago. I'm glad he's taking it now.
Who? Stan Van Gundy?
No, Carlin, because
Yeah.
it used to be Marv Albert, and Marv Albert wasn't good before he retired.
I like
No
I like
offense.
Stan Van Gundy more than Reggie Miller personally.
Hey, salute to Reggie Miller and what he's done, but I don't really like him as a commentator. No
Yeah.
offense, it's not my cup of tea.
I can't stand. Actually, NFL probably has better because the new NBA crew I don't like.
For ESPN.
Yeah. Doc Rivers ain't it on the call,
He used to do play-by-play commentary.
but his voice isn't it?
Well, yeah, his voice got a lot worse. No offense to
Yeah.
him.
No.
Since the last time he's done it, and I think the last time he did it was like in the mid 2000s. So
Doris Burke is all right.
yeah.
Doris Burke is all right. I can't remember. I think it's Ryan Caruso. Is that who does like play-by-play?
Caruso, yeah,
He's pretty good.
yeah. I like him when he does like women's basketball. I'd be tuned in when he's on the call.
He does UFC too, I think.
I don't think so.
Or not UFC, but like I think it might be boxing.
Boxing.
Because UFC's like it's not him. It's Joe Rogan and somebody else. It's Joe Rogan, Daniel Cormier, and somebody else.
Yeah, I know for a fact he's on the Nets broadcasting team. I
He
like
is.
like when he commentates.
Same with Iron Eagle.
Yeah,
Iron Eagle does
they
quite a bit of
like
work
they
with
like
them.
alternate each other.
Yeah. Well, Frazier just came back to the Knicks.
Yeah.
He was gone for like most of the year.
Mhm.
But they didn't say why.
Hey, can we give Eric Collins his flowers before we get out of here though? Eric Collins, Hornets commentator,
No,
play-by-play.
no,
Why not?
I don't think he's.
You don't like Eric Collins?
Bro, I've
Hum
stated,
diddly d?
I've stated my
Bro,
Hornets
you
talk.
tripping.
I've stated my Hornets opinion.
You tripping, bro.
Nah.
Hum diddly d, come on.
Whenever I tune in, I can't stand. It's
Thi-
good.
this man doesn't like fun. He doesn't like fun.
Hey, it's
and
good
the
for like
entertainment
a
factor.
for like a Miles Bridges. It's good for the highlights. Like he has good highlight stuff, but I'm not huge.
It's crazy. He's very similar to Gus Johnson. I really like Gus Johnson's
I
work,
like
so
Gus
that's
Johnson a
why
lot, too.
I'll be tuned in.
See, I prefer Gus Johnson quite a bit.
Yeah.
I can't stand the Celtics broadcast. The most biased broadcast in all of sports.
Bro, Scalabrine, I'm sorry, but Scalabrine stinks.
Yeah, he do.
And Perk whenever he's on there.
Um,
No offense, but
I'm trying to think. The Heat are all right. They kind of are.
bro, the Warriors broadcast fucking
Oh,
sucks.
the Warriors got.
I
probably
hate.
the most biased,
No,
too.
I'm sorry. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's so biased.
Portland's got some good ones though.
I'll be watching Portland.
See,
So.
Portland's
Bro,
always the
nah.
last game.
Now, one thing about Portland, bro, like you look at their roster and they have like a random 2K generic playing for them like every other night.
They got one dude. He was like in the G League for 5 years.
Oh, I ain't never heard of Doo-Wop Reith before this year, bro.
Yeah.
Never. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I never heard of Doo-Wop Reith.
Bro, the DeAndre Ayton situation where he missed the game because he was stuck at home from the snow.
Oh, that was crazy.
That's so crazy. He got a snow day of work.
Bro, it's like school. Oh, let me look at this Portland Trailblazers box score.
They
before
still
we
beat
head
the
out.
Nets. They beat the Nets twice in a week. That's how you know you need a blowout.
Trailblazers?
Yes.
Yeah, that Nets team sucks anyway. But they got their asses kicked by the Lakers the other night.
They did. And then they beat the Nets. They beat the Pacers the first game with Halliburton and Siakam.
Okay, so there's Doo-Wop Reith, Ibu Baji. That was a name that played last night. Who
They
else?
still got Jeremy Grant.
Ryan Rupert.
Oh, Rupert. He's the rookie.
Ryan
He's a rookie,
Rupert.
though. I think he's from France. So it's like
Taze Moore from Houston.
Mhm.
I low-key never heard of him before like the other night. Bro, they got like 2K generics playing for them, man.
They do.
And
Oh,
also
Kamara.
Doo-Wop Reith.
Tumani Kamara. He was included in that Yusuf Nurkic trade. He's actually been a good addition
he's
as a
been
rookie.
solid.
Chris Murray got some PT the other night, and he looked good.
Jamari Boyea, he played for the Heat last year. I know that. Who else?
Shout out Jabari Parker. See you. Or Jabari Walker.
Yeah, he's been good recently.
That's what I heard.
Justin Minaya on this team. Bro, it's like 2K generics, bro. It's crazy.
All right. Should we get out of here?
Yeah, we should.
All right. And send us away.
Yup, indeed. If you guys are still watching this video, thank you for the love and support. We greatly appreciate that. Follow us on all of our social media platforms, IG, TikTok, and YouTube, all with the handle @Literal Debates. We post daily reels from these episodes, plus other highlights in the sports world daily. So we love if you could drop a quick follow and subscribe to those platforms immediately in the near future.
Yeah.
And yeah.
What's up? Let's get out of here then.
Yes, sir. Peace out.
Peace.